It's been a very mask-off week for Donald Trump and the MAGA movement, and we can go into detail about everything that happened, really exposing just the scum con, psyop that indulged people to vote for Donald Trump, thinking that it was going to make America great again, thinking that, here's this businessman from Queens, New York, who, builds these skyscrapers. We're going to invest into Americans again, and we're going to bring back American jobs. Turns out that wasn't the case. Turns out that a schmuck businessman is going to be a schmuck businessman. And Donald Trump is no different. Donald Trump is going to do anything he can to cut the corners, cut away from actually investing into Americans, which actually make America prosperous and build up the middle-class economy for working-class Americans, and completely sidelining for the deep state that he was pledging to be against. No surprise there. Not really a shock to people, although it's shocking for people to finally come to terms with it. But here's a bit of an example here. So Donald Trump did this Truth Social. This is back October 22nd. This is right around the time when they're announcing that they're bailing out cattle ranchers in Argentina, not America, as farmers are desperately clinging on to their generational farms that they're losing because of this administration, because of the continuation of suppressing these family farms. And here's Donald Trump announcing, saying, the cattle ranchers who I love, I'm sure you do, don't understand the only reason we are doing so well for the first time in decades is because I put the tariffs on cattle coming into the United States, including a 50% tariffs on Brazil. If they weren't for me, they would be doing just as they've done for the past 20 years. Terrible! Yes, that's why they're jumping up in joy right now, because thank God someone like him is focusing on helping Argentina and their beef. Which, unless they're talking about Argentina, Nebraska, I don't know if there is an Argentina, Nebraska, but I'm just using an example. A lot of farmers in America don't give a damn. They don't give a damn. They're realizing that either way, they got screwed. Either way, politics is not in favor of them. Because politics is in favor for Bill Gates. They're in favor for the billionaire class that don't want anything to do with farms. Why Bill Gates is buying up this farmland, not because he's a green thumb agriculturalist or cares about animals. He's buying up the land to seize the property value, because he sees more property value in turning it into condos, buying the farmland and selling it off to developers. He doesn't care about food or where it comes from or organics or any crap like that. You're just going to swallow the synthetics. It would be nice if they would understand that, but they also have to get their own prices down, because the consumer is a big factor in my thinking also. Yes, it's the poor farmer that's struggling to survive. They have to keep their prices down. That's the problem there. It's these greedy farmers that had to be subsidized, that had to reach out to the president that voted for Donald Trump extraordinarily to hopefully regain that Make America Great Again would be an investment into the agricultural sector that's been shuddering for many administrations. Yes, it's them, the greedy bastards they are, that are keeping the prices high. But here's a bit of truth to this, is what Scott Bessent said recently. So this is the Commerce Secretary, or the business secretary, whatever he is. So Scott Bessent is now claiming beef prices are high because immigrants are smuggling diseased cattle from South America across the border. Wait a second. I thought it was our farmers that are the greedy bastards that are keeping the prices up. No, it's these immigrants that are storming the border with cows. I didn't realize ICE had to be ranch herders as well, because of all the cows that are crossing illegally into the border. Like, This has got to be the most hilarious administration yet. This has got to be the most hilarious administration yet. And this is coming after Joe Biden. This is coming after Weekend at Biden's, which was literally a Comedy Central skit in the opening. And now we're dealing with this. Beef prices are high because of immigrants bringing in cows, according to Scott Bessent. And here's what he said. This is what he said to Maria Bartolomo, whatever her name is, at Fox News here. Listen.
But what is your take on what you just heard? He's expecting $10 meat.
Well, Maria, the beef market is a very specialized market. It goes in long cycles, and this is the perfect storm. Again, something we inherited, and there's also, because of the mass immigration, a disease that we've been rid of in North America, made its way up through South America. As these migrants, they brought some of their cattle with them. So, part.
That's right. The Secretary of Treasury is going on Fox News telling you that beef is going to be $10 a pound because immigrants are storming the country with diseased cattle. Yes, they're bringing in dead cows. They're not bringing the best. Some of them are rapists and murderers, part of MS-13. It's not good. Not good whatsoever. We got to get performance cows. That's why I'm going to Argentina. Scott Bessent is saying this, ladies and gentlemen. Just keep that in mind. Scott Bessent, who worked for George Soros. The same George Soros that is also penalizing against farmers. They're currently doing that in the Netherlands. They're currently doing that in Denmark. We showed you the footage there of Danish farmers losing their cattle because they're getting told by their governments to feed them these chemical poisons in their food to stop cows from farting. Well, guess what? A cow's not going to fart when it's completely dead. And that's going to contaminate not only the beef, it's going to contaminate the milk, the cheese, the dairy, anything that derives from that cow. So the same people that schmucks like him claim that they're fighting against are actually part of. You're not going to get away from the deep state. You're never going to vote your way out of the deep state. And this is proof of it. You're going to get $10 a pound beef because of schmucks like him going on to Fox News and saying it's immigrants that are doing this. After the president just told you, no, it's the greedy farmers that are barely clinging on. It's because of them. God forbid. Those greedy bastards that have generational farms that are, putting hand over foot, taking out third or fourth mortgages. They're the ones that are causing high beef prices. Not my administration. Nothing to do with me or politics or the fact that we're not investing in our nation's farms. Let me go back again just to hear that.
But what is your take on what you just heard? He's expecting $10 meat.
Well, Maria, the beef market is a very specialized market. It goes in long cycles, and this is the perfect storm. Again, something we inherited, and there's also, because of the mass immigration, a disease that we've been rid of in North America, made its way up through South America. As these migrants, they brought some of their cattle with them. So part of the problem is we've had to shut the border.
They brought some of their cattle with them. Yeah, I'm sure there's hordes of cows being loaded up to fishing boats and crossing into Miami right now. It's like it's original Noah's Ark. Two of every animal, possibly disease, being thrown into fishing boats so they can illegally cross the border and infect our cattle. How more absurd of story can we get here? You might as well just say a magical fairy diseased all the cows. Like, how absurd this is getting. How absurd this is getting. As he says, like, oh, this is a perfect storm because we're getting from all the administrations previously that caused this ruckus, and now we got to deal with it. Well, you're not even dealing with it. You're making up excuses to continue on this nightmare. It's not actually helping the farmers by any means necessary. So you're not helping the problem. You're not fixing anything. You're not doing, again, this is a continuation. This is a continuation, and especially coming from Scott Bessent, who derives from the George Soros camp, now part of the Trump administration. It should open the doors. It should be a red flag for people to realize that no matter who you vote for, you're going to get screwed 9 ways to Sunday. Doesn't matter who you vote for, even if it's Trump, even if it's Carney, even if it's Pierre Poilievre, even if it's Kamala Harris. No matter who you vote for, you're going to get screwed by schmuck like him. Because there's no electoral way out of voting against the deep state. You're going to be stuck in this trap for the rest of your lives. You'll own nothing and you'll like it. That's what the Trump administration is implementing. Just like how our administration here in Canada is implementing. This is all part of the global complex to go against people. And now they're making up stories about, well, you can't afford meat, organic meat, because immigrants, the immigrants that we purposely poured into the country to cause a ruckus. So now we can use that as an excuse for why grocery prices are so high. Not because of inflation, not because of the reckless spending, not because we're going against farmers, which is reducing the amount of crop, which is why food is becoming scarce, and now they're moving towards synthetic 3D copy meat. Not because my globalist bosses are telling us to go eat bugs instead of actual meat that's organic and nutrient rich. Unbelievable. So let's hear this one more time. I'll play in full, no stop. Just how crazy it is.
But what is your take on what you just heard? He's expecting $10 meat.
Well, Maria, the beef market is a very specialized market. It goes in long cycles, and this is the perfect storm. Again, something we inherited, and there's also, because of the mass immigration, a disease that we've been rid of in North America, made its way up through South America. As these migrants, they brought some of their cattle with them. So,
and by the way, what disease is that? What disease are you talking about? Oh, they're hoarding a bunch of cows across the border. These migrants, they're riding them like waves. Like, what are you talking about? And then what disease are they bringing? Oh, they're bringing disease that's affecting our cows and chickens and whatnot. Are you talking about the avian flu? Are you talking about that? Are you talking about how we're culling animals right now because of the avian flu, which has nothing to do with actually consumption, but just has to do with oppression and tyranny, like they're doing in BC with the ostriches? Is that what you're talking about? Like, none of this makes sense. None of it makes sense. And only an idiot with less than one functioning brain cell could believe this story, can watch this. A brain-drooling zombie believe this and go, yeah, immigrants! They're causing my beef prices to skyrocket. Them and their diseased cows. Well, thank God we're looking to Argentina. Thank God we're looking to their farms because, foreign beef is contaminated. That's why we got to go to a foreign country to insource our beef and our meats.
Part of the problem is we've had to shut the border to Mexican beef because of this disease called the screwworm. So we're not going to let that get into our supply chain. And again, I don't want to focus on one product. It's a very important product, and we are laser focused on this issue. And
yeah, I'm so laser focused. That's why I'm going on to Fox News and going for the first reactionary excuse to sow division is blame the immigrants. Blame the immigrants that are coming in hordes of cows, hordes of beef that's contaminated. That's what's causing the skyrocket price of beef, $10 a pound. I don't want to talk about beef right now because some people are actually smarter than I am and can actually see right through my BS, Marina. So let's focus on something else. Well, here's CNN. They brought on one of the farmers, an actual cattle rancher here. And you can see here it says ranchers feeling betrayed by U.S. plan to buy Argentine beef. So right now, the Trump administration that just accused farmers of setting their prices way too high, because apparently they're the ones that could set prices and determine their outcome. At the same time, Scott Bessent is saying that it's immigrants that are causing the problem. Now, their excuse and their solution is because Argentina needs this big bailout, which we know that Argentina is not getting this money. The Argentinians are getting the money. It's Javier Milei and his cronies that are going to get the money. It's nothing more than a money laundering excerpt. And they're going to now use this to import Argentinian beef, not serve American farmers, not be America first, not actually serve Americans like you would do in, say, something called Make America Great Again movement, but you're going to import a bunch of foreign beef that you just claimed was contaminated by Mexico from Argentina. So, yes, it does feel like a bit of a betrayal, especially from farmers that desperately voted for Donald Trump because they knew every administration was against them. And they thought that Donald Trump, because he played the populist card so well, was actually going to help them. But here's now what they're saying.
There's a difference between the meat packers and the cattle ranchers. And these ranchers are the ones who are going to feel the major impact of this importing.
Absolutely. The issue that the president has been misled on in this marketplace, there is a cattle price and then there is a beef price. 4 companies control 85% of all the beef in the United States. They almost have a monopolistic control over the beef market.
So he just made a great point there that the beef industry, just like chicken, just like all of your food, is monopolized. They're the ones that determine the prices. So notice that Scott Bessent never mentioned that. Scott Bessent never pointed the finger at Tyson Foods or any of these other giant monopolies, Purdue. They never point the finger at them for saying that they're the ones that determine the prices, because it's true. They actually are the ones that determine the prices. They determine the quota, and they get it from these farms. They occupy these farms for mass manufacturing. And it's not the farmer itself that's having the dilemma of determining the prices. They have to serve the quota to monopolies, these beef industry tycoons, that they're the ones determining the price. But Scott Bessent nor Donald Trump is willing to point the finger at them. Why? Because most likely they're donors to the campaign. They're donors to the Trump administration, and they're okay with it. They're okay with importing a bunch of Argentinian beef that could fail USDA qualities, that could easily not live up to quality standards, that could be worse off than your simple cattle ranch in Nebraska. They're okay with that because they don't care. They just want to fill a quota. So here's some more of this.
The president, for whatever reason, is laser focused on taking on the cattle producers in the United States and the price that they receive, and is doing nothing about Brazil's JBS or Brazil's National Beef or Cargill or Tyson's efforts to raise beef prices to the consumers. The gap between what consumers are paying and what the rancher gets continues to spread higher in favor of the packer. So that is a great point, and really appreciate you raising that.
So it sounds like what he's saying there is it doesn't matter if they get the beef from America, if they get the beef from Argentina, no matter where they get the product from, they are the ones determining the prices, meaning that it's not going to affect consumer prices. So if they get Argentinian beef, the prices aren't going to go down. They're not going to go down because it's artificially inflated by the monopolies. Even though they're probably paying less and it's a worse quality of meat than you would get from an actual farm within your backyard, it's not going to affect the consumer rate because the consumer rate is not done by the farmer. It's done by these monopolies. They're the gatekeepers. They're the ones, because it's all about quota. These mass farming consulates, these mafia men and women, not to pick genders, they're the ones to determine what the cost of beef. They're the ones to determine what they set the prices for. And then that domino effect goes to the price of what the grocery store is charging and how much you're paying for your cuts of meat. So either way, you're still paying $10, approximately $10 per pound for beef, whether it comes from Argentina or America, because it's done by the monopolies. It's not done by the farmers. Hence why the farmers are struggling. Why a lot of these farmers are packing up. They're selling off their land, that they've had this land for generations. Their whole family comes from farming, and they have to lose everything. They have to lose everything and sell it off to people like Bill Gates, who is not a green thumb enthusiast whatsoever. The man who barely finished college. The reason he's buying this land is because the property value is attached to it. Then he can sell it off to developers. He can transform it into an AI hub. He doesn't care about beef. He doesn't care about food. He wants you to swallow bugs and synthetics. That's what the whole Beyond Beef fad was about. He doesn't give a damn about you. Just like these monopolies don't give a damn. They can find cheaper qualities of meat elsewhere in the world, but it ain't going to affect the cost. Because suckers out there are still going to look at, I know there's people out there that are going to look at this and say, well, you know, the Biden administration did worse, and Trump's actually doing something by getting Argentinian beef, and yeah, that's definitely going to drop the prices. He just told you right there it's not. Doesn't make a damn difference. Because it's not determined by the farmer. It's not determined by the grocer of where they're getting it. It's determined by the monopolies. They're the ones that set the standard. They're the ones that, you know, are looking for the quota. They want a certain quota. And this is affecting a lot of these ranchers. So here is one particular. Let me just show here. This is a guy by the name of Jake. He said, Trump listened to his base, and he's right to. After announcing his beef imports from Argentina, U.S. ranchers blew the whistle. The high prices aren't caused by them, but by corporate meat packers and distributors gaming the system. So Trump ordered an investigation into price fixing. But here's the problem. It's run by Pam Bondi, who seems more interested in camera time than cracking down on corruption. Really, Pam Bondi is more concerned about PR and theatrics than actually investigating? Hell, surprised. What are these beef packers named Epstein? Is that why she's ignoring them? Ranchers have a message for Trump. Fire Pam Bondi. Hire someone who will take on big beef, not audition for Fox News. So here's a beef rancher trying to speak directly to the president about the corruption within his administration to keep the beef prices so high, and it's screwing both the consumer and the rancher. Take a listen.
This right here, this is the shit I love about Trump. A couple weeks ago, I made a video after Trump said I'm bringing in Argentina beef, and me and every other motherfucker that raises cows was like, what the fuck are you doing, dude? If you want to lower meat prices, go after the fucking cocksuckers that are manipulating prices at the beef processing plants that are all foreign owned. What did Trump do? Last night he drops this Truth Social. Says, I am ordering the DOJ to begin an investigation into the meatpacking plants for price manipulation and collusion. And it's like, no shit. How about, you might as well just open up an investigation into every fucking corporation, because that's what they've all been doing. They all got these monopolies. I was fucking for damn sure that there used to be laws against monopolies, and the government used to come in and break them up. You know, Ma Bell, the miscommunication, these motherfuckers. Like, oh, now all we gotta do is wait on Pam Bondi, flip a fucking coin whether or not that fucking bitch is gonna do anything about it already.
So, I want to play the rest, but I can't. I'm worried about the copyright because of the music underneath it. But that's great points there. That, yeah, once upon a time there was antitrust laws that would break up these monopolies, that would not allow for price gouging on consumers. But that inevitably changed through the 1980s. Greed is good. That kind of era that took over. This is the outcome of it. That no matter what you get, if you get Argentinian beef, if you get American beef, if you get synthetics made in a laboratory, it's still going to be pricey. It's still going to cost you an arm and a leg to get that food, because these monopolies only care about their quota. They only care about, getting that nice quarter into Wall Street. They don't care about the meat. They don't care about the food. They don't care about the quality. That's why they're able to import Argentinian beef and leave farmers once again high and dry and not knowing if they'll ever presume again. And this is a complete betrayal of the Trump administration, even with that truth post, even with the saying of, we're going to get the DOJ to investigate. That's nothing. That's an empty gesture right there. I'm ordering the DOJ to investigate. As he even said there, corporations have been doing that for years. You might as well just do an investigation on every single corporation that has price gouged every single consumer, which Trump is never going to do that. I know that for a fact. And Pam Bondi isn't even going to do her job and to investigate it, which goes to show you this is all manufactured theatrics. It's all a gimmick. It's all there to, again, make you believe that Trump is on your side still, even though Trump has completely sold you out and is a established tool of the deep state. That's why he became president. That's why all the lawfare tactics that they tried to silence him with magically got erased as soon as he became president. I guess, we tried. And now he's president. Now he's doing everything that the deep state had wanted. So, put two and two together and realize why Trump is your current president doing all this stuff. Here's Thomas Massie, an actual MAGA person, an actual person who gives about the American public, which is why every single billionaire is going against him. Not because of anti-Semitism, whatever. It's because this is actually a guy who gives a damn about Americans, just like Marjorie Taylor Greene actually gives a crap about Americans. But who doesn't give a crap about Americans? The billionaire class. Because they don't have to live in America. They can go anywhere in the world. They can go anywhere their heart desires. They don't give a crap about anybody. So here's Thomas Massie saying, imagine that. Americans want to know where their food comes from. I'll be sponsoring legislation soon to reinstate country of origin labeling for beef and pork. This is especially important if our supermarkets are going to be flooded with beef from Argentina. So he did a polling here. It says, when beef and pork are imported into the United States, should companies be required to label country of origin? Cars, tools, clothes, phones, and even chicken and seafood have countries of origin labels. In 2015, Congress removed the beef and pork labels, even though I voted to keep them. And look at that, 98% wants mandatory labels. Why? Because Americans want to actually buy American. They actually want to buy product from their own backyard and help their fellow man. Not serve the needs of the billionaire class where they're getting their crap from Argentina. Which again, it's not really serving Argentinians. It's serving the billionaire hedge fund owners that are getting the subsidy from America, posing as a bailout for Argentina. And it's not just America that's dealing with this. It's happening all around the world, including Canada. We've shown this before, but I just want to show it again. So this is a dairy farmer. I believe in Sarnia. We've shown this video a couple of times before. This dairy farmer reached his quota, so the government of Canada makes him dump out the rest of his milk because of regulations. So again, not the farmer that's determining the pricing, that's doing all this quota, it's the middleman, it's the mafia, it's the billionaire class, it's these ghouls, the monopolists. They're the ones determining it. So they're telling this guy who's overproduced milk, which they could sell at a cheaper rate, because that's what you do when you have a large surplus, you're able to sell at a cheaper rate. They're telling him to dump out the milk. Dump out the milk so we could charge $7 a liter for milk in Canada. And yet they make me dump out 30,000 liters of milk at once. Once the quota is reached. This time I'm going public because I want these guys to see what's going on. So here's what the guy had to say about dumping out 30,000 liters of milk and why milk is pricey, why your groceries are so expensive in this country.
Hey guys, we're here at Give and Go's Farm in Southern Ontario. We milk about 260 cows. Right now during the winter months, you milk quite a bit more milk because the feed is very consistent. And as you do a good job, you will produce quite a bit of milk. So, but right now we're over our quota. It's regulated by the government and by the DFO. But the problem is what they don't understand is millions of people look at this milk running away because it's the end of the month. So I have to dump 30,000 liters of milk. It breaks my heart. I will show you. By the way, this here, Canadian milk, it's $7 a liter. When I go for my haircut, people say, wow, $7, Jerry, for a little bit of milk. I say, well, you have to go higher up because we have no say anymore as a dairy farmer on our own farm because they make us dump it. And no matter how we stand up, so this time I'm going public. I want the people to see the pain that us growers have of 365 days. As a little boy, we grew up on a dairy farm, came from Europe, work, and here we are. This is what's happening.
So they're dumping all that milk that they could have sold at a cheaper rate because the monopolies, the supply management services in Canada, just like they're doing in the United States, just like around the world, they want a certain quota so they could charge a certain amount to consumers. And that's why a liter of milk there costs $7 instead of actually making it cheaper and more affordable, which they could do. They could easily do that if they actually invest into farmers, which they don't, because they don't give a damn. And here's the outcome of this. This is what happens when you get more and more billionaires on the side of management and not actual agriculture, is you get stuff like this. Cloned meat is quietly getting closer to being sold in Canada, but people may not know they're buying it. So meaning that synthetics are going to be taking over your grocery stores, meaning that your beef is not beef. Your food is not food. It's genetically modified. It's made in a laboratory using synthetic materials, synthetic chemicals that you don't even know how to pronounce, being swallowed down, guzzled down, and people are being told to shove it. People being told to shove it because that's what you get. And that's a dagger in the backs of all the farmers that they claim to be supporting. All the agriculturists, all the people that have multi-generational farms. That's a complete betrayal right there. So what are farmers going to do? They're going to go bankrupt. They're going to probably have to sell off their land and lose everything because of this. And this is all because the monopolists, the billionaires, they're leading the path towards this. They don't give about food. They don't care about you. They don't care about your health. All they care about is that damn quota. And that's where all this is leading to. That's why they're getting Argentina beef, posing as American beef, as a complete betrayal and a backstab to the American farmers who voted for Trump, who unanimously voted for Trump, hoping that MAGA would actually spark an interest back into American farms and agriculture and the people that grow organic food to serve you. This is a complete betrayal by the Trump administration, by Trump himself, by Scott Bessent, by all the other administrators. Oh, but they're going to do investigation. Yeah, I doubt that's going to see an edge of light. Because who's in control of that? Pam Bondi. And Pam Bondi has a lot of donors by the billionaire class. It's exactly why they're not releasing Epstein files. Exactly why they're doing everything the opposite of what they told people during the campaign, is because the billionaire class is attached to them. That's why Trump is the president. After 2 assassination attempts, after all the lawfare that they posed against him, this is why he's became president. Because now they can use him. Now they got him. They baited him. And he's able to sell this crap, being the salesman schmuck that he is, being a real estate tycoon. He's able to sell this garbage to the American public. And there's people that would believe it. But I'd say majority of people are starting to catch up to the utter betrayal that comes from America and the White House and even Trump himself.